Does anyone actually remember Moana 2? The first Moana movie is not only an amazing film loved by millions, but it's also just like the most beautiful thing ever. Between the memorable music, the gorgeous visuals, and the actual love and care put into its narrative, most people agree that the original Moana is an S-tier banger. And that's why it's an absolute shame that everything I just mentioned apparently isn't even in the second movie. This thing came out less than a year ago, and I haven't heard a single person talk about it since 2024. And that includes Dwayne Johnson, who notoriously can't stop talking about his own movies.
Black Adam, Black Adam, Black Adam, Black Adam, Black Adam, Black Adam.
According to most people, Moana 2 just kinda sucks. The music is pretty forgettable, the visuals are arguably less beautiful, and the story seems unfocused and just kind of makes no sense like 80% of the time. People really don't like this movie. They want to burn it from the record books. Listen, a couple months ago, I made a whole video on the first Moana movie, so today I'll be doing the exact same thing, but this time while watching Moana 2 in full to see if it's really that bad. I keep hearing about how Moana 2 is a horrible sequel, but does that mean it's a bad movie on its own? Well, that's what we're gonna find out today, so I'm cutting the intro short. Go grab your copy of Donkey Kong Bonanza for the Nintendo Switch, and without further ado, let's watch what may be Disney's worst animated sequel, Moana 2. Our story begins with Moana dramatically running through the forest as if she's playing Dead by Daylight. Moana is actually exploring an island with her pig friend Pua. If you're excited about seeing more of this goofy pig, don't be. The trailers lied to you. He's barely in this movie. Hey, on the other hand, is also there, but he's actually the most vital character in this entire movie. We'll get to that. The chicken's just up there somehow. I'm calling it now. The chicken's like a god or something. Everyone gets to the peak of this island, but then falls down right away. I'm sure the Disney execs were all laughing hysterically at the idea of this scene. This is when Hey leads Moana to find a handmade piece of pottery with markings on it, proving that people from other islands actually do exist. That's 1 point for Hey, by the way. I will be keeping score. Moana gets all excited and sails back home. Of course, this takes a while, so why not break out into song? A couple things here before we continue. First, many people online will tell you that the visuals in this movie are just flat out worse than the first film. I kind of sort of don't really agree with that. I think this movie looks fine, honestly. But for those who somehow don't know, Moana 2 was actually supposed to be a limited TV series stretched across 5 different episodes. There's some drama about Disney wanting more money, because of course there is. But instead, they eventually changed the project to be a full-length movie instead, which gave the studio like only a couple months to pivot the story and the visuals into something notable. Obviously, I'll get into that later, but for now, just know that the consensus online seems to be that for a TV show, this looks actually pretty good, but for a high-budget Disney movie, this looks kind of plain. It is what it is. Don't get mad. I'm just the messenger. The second thing I want to mention is that the movie was written and composed by different people than the first movie, which is why many people cite it as not good. I don't really think any of the songs in this movie are actually bad, honestly. They're just not as memorable, really. Let's be honest, ain't nobody playing this on the aux. But to keep the same tradition as my last video, I will be quickly rating every song in this movie on a tier list. Very original. I know. Back to the movie now, and Moana is singing her heart out. Her whole thing is that she's excited to explore other islands and find new people because apparently no one has ever done that before. We see the main island again, and nothing has really changed since the first movie. Like, honestly, this song only exists to pad the runtime. We get 0 new information during the next 3 minutes. As far as the song goes, it's alright. I'll put it in B tier for now, I guess. As soon as Moana arrives home, we're introduced to some new side characters. This old guy whose name is Kele. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. He's just grumpy all the time, so I'm just gonna call him Grumps from now on. This is Grumps.
You're gonna love it.
I don't love anything.
This girl is named Loto. She's obsessed with building and fixing boats. Don't worry, I'll talk about her. There's also this guy named Moni, which is ironic because he's a broke boy. He's obsessed with maps and loves Maui, despite never meeting him before. And finally, there's Samia. She's Moana's little sister, who wasn't in the first movie at all. I guess a fair bit of time has passed since the first movie, as apparent by the grays in the dad's beard. The movie then spends the next 5 minutes re-explaining everything we already kind of know from the first movie. Moana tells her little sister about everything, which I guess is like, I don't know, meant to make it exciting or something. But, like someone playing League of Legends, it gets very boring very quickly.
Poor Maui stole Te Fiti's heart.
Am I tripping, or do I already know all of this information? This feels a lot more like a TV show than a movie so far. We then cut to Maui in bird form. I know Reddit is probably excited to see Hawk Tua on the big screen. Maui lands in this mysterious area where he pleads with someone to open up a portal for him. This person laughs menacingly and actually seems very interesting.
Team up with your precious human again.
Surely they won't ruin this character's intrigue halfway through the movie. There's no way. This evil person says that both Maui and Moana will suffer consequences, and then the two fight off screen for some reason. You could tell they're about to fight, but we don't see the fight at all. It just awkwardly cuts away, like when you skip a cutscene in a Yakuza game. Back with Moana, and we see that one kid with Riz from the first movie. He does the exact same thing, but he's older now. Rose aura farming for no reason. Why is he doing that? Later that night, Moana is doing some cultural ceremony to be titled Master Wayfinder of her people. But then a random purple lightning bolt crackles through the hut and hits Moana directly, causing a critical hit and double damage. This causes Moana to have some sort of vision flashback thing. There's a giant whale. It's very cool to see your mom in this movie. Got him. This spirit ancestor spawns in and lets Moana know that if she fails to find other villages, everyone in her village will die, essentially. We don't really know why, and we don't really know how. This is literally the movie equivalent of talking to an NPC and getting a side quest. The ancestor says to follow the light in the sky, which of course sounds very ambiguous, but it's not at all, since there's actually a comet in the sky, and Moana just needs to sail in that direction, I guess is what he meant.
Fire in the sky. He wants me to follow it.
A literal fire in the sky. There's not much room for error here, let's be honest. Just sail towards the east and you're chilling, dude. That's pretty much it. The second song of the movie plays here. It's about being scared and having anxiety. It's very sad, but in a conquering type of way. I'll put this song in B tier because I remember liking it, but I'm gonna be honest, I already forgot how it sounds. So the next day, Moana decides to go find some new islands and connect all the villages. Moana is convinced by her mother that she should bring a crew with her because it's not like she's an expert wayfinder with tons of experience or anything. We didn't just have a whole movie proving that she's good enough to explore on her own. That wasn't a thing. Anyway, Moana recruits 3 side characters to come with her. Loto to fix the boat if needed, which makes no sense because Moana's already been seen doing that herself. Moni to lead the way, which also makes no sense because they just have to follow the light in the sky. And Grumps to help feed everyone, which also makes no sense, since if Moana just went alone like last time, she probably wouldn't need an extra guy whose sole purpose is to be Gordon Ramsay without the funny. That's a squad right there. Those are, yep, that's it right there. Moana's sister gives her a starfish as a souvenir or something. This is probably important. Try to remember it. The gang sails off to what's hopefully a really epic adventure. Cutting back to Maui now, I guess that fight off screen was pretty eventful since he's now tied up and dangling from the ceiling. He's like a piñata or something. I just want to hit him really hard with a bat and see all the Reese's cups fall out. Maui argues with his tattoo for a bit about what to do here. You see, Maui doesn't want to put Moana in any danger, but if Moana somehow shows up, he might have to. This is when there's a FNAF jump scare and the evil girl from earlier shows up.
I'm really hoping to meet your little friend. I have plans for you both.
We don't really know anything about this mysterious character so far, but it's super clear that she has very evil intentions. Right? Back with Moana now, and the oceans are peaceful so far. That is, until members of her crew make things worse almost immediately.
Loto!
This is like our 3rd scene in the movie and she's already ruining the boat. This is gonna be a long movie, man. Also, I have to mention this real quick and excuse my possible ignorance here, but Loto very clearly has an Australian or New Zealander accent, which wouldn't that mean she's probably from another island? No one else on the home island has that accent, right? Am I trolling? The people questioned for years if other communities even existed, but isn't this proof? Has no one back home ever questioned where her pronunciations come from? I don't really know what I'm talking about, to be honest, so it doesn't matter. The map guy and the old dude are also doing a whole bunch of nothing. Moana is basically traveling on hard difficulty right now, where every NPC is trying to sabotage her adventure. The next song plays, and it's called What Could Be Better Than This, and it's probably the most average Disney song I think I've ever heard. I'll give it a C tier since Loto randomly turns into a rap god halfway through the song.
We're falling fantastically. Yes, we're a mess.
My name is Eminem and I like to rap.
After the song, the gang finds the island they've been looking for this entire time, and that was really quick. Like, they're actually making really good time. I mean, the movie just started and they already found it's actually a ship of hostile enemies who want to club Moana to death. it's not an island. These are the Kakamora. You probably remember them from the first movie. There's this weird moment where some nearby mountains in the background actually end up being this giant clam monster thing, and it's about to swallow Moana and the gang whole. So now they need to worry about that and the coconut people shooting at them with darts. All this while the boat girl obnoxiously explains what's happening while it's happening.
He's using centrifugal force to increase our velocity!
Eventually, Moana and everyone else on board gets shot with darts and get paralyzed. Too bad they don't have any cherry berries. Those would be very handy in this scenario. Also, I have like these 3 Pokemon codes that I'll never use. I'll just flash them on screen real quick. This is completely unrelated to the video, but yeah, if you play Pokemon, here you go, you can have them. So now no one on the boat can move and everyone is about to die. But then, wouldn't you know it, Hey breaks the rope connected to the sail, which reveals a mountain logo to the coconut people. This, for some reason, stops them from committing multiple counts of first-degree murder, which somehow, in some weird way, means that Hey actually saved everyone from actually getting killed. That's 2 points now for Hey, and everybody else has yet to even be on the board. Ironic that this thing's a chicken, because he also happens to be the absolute goat.
Wait!
What even just happened? The rooster did something and everyone's chill now? This movie just does what it wants, man. Disney found an infinite money glitch and I'm watching it right now. The Kakamora explain that if Moana and friends can get rid of the clam monster that's in their way, they'll help them get to the island that they're looking for. I'm not sure why the coconut people don't just like go around the giant clam. It definitely looks like it's possible, but I don't know, maybe they're just not that smart. I don't know. Moana goes into the mouth of the clam and the little light pops up showing exactly where this thing's weak spot is. I know I've made a bunch of jokes about this already, but this is actually just like a video game at this point. Like, it's flashing where you need to hit it. There might as well be an arrow that says stab me here. Unfortunately, everyone loses their weapons in a sudden shift of waves. That's honestly pretty bad RNG.
And this is why you always have a backup.
Have no fear though, because as everything looks dire, one of the coconut guys shows up and voluntarily sacrifices everyone on board for the greater good. This guy's a part of the squad now. How epic. Our main characters, now inside the giant clam, get launched into an area without water, but rather giant monsters that remind me of the first SpongeBob movie. I don't know why, like that scene where they're driving, it just reminded me of that right away. The side characters all fall deeper, leading them straight to Maui. Yep, that's right. Apparently the evil girl in Maui did all that fighting inside this giant clam thing. Moni gets all excited and freaks out like a 12-year-old buying V-Bucks for the first time. The gang plays with Maui's tattoos for a little bit, but obviously Maui gets pretty annoyed by that. And this is probably a good time to mention that a lot of people online have said that Maui looks visibly older in this movie. It's more noticeable in certain scenes than others, but he's got more wrinkles and maybe some gray hairs here and there. Now, obviously, we already established that this movie takes place years after the first movie, so this aging thing actually makes sense, right? Well, it would if it wasn't for the fact that Maui is a demigod who's immortal and has probably lived for hundreds, if not thousands of years already. Like, why is he showing signs of aging now? You're telling me he lived thousands of years, looked completely normal, and then in the last, like, 3 years or whatever it was, he started aging for some reason? Was it maybe just the stress between 2016 and 2024? Did this man make a Twitter account or something?
This is what happens when you meet your heroes.
The old guy's nihilism is actually the best part of this movie. Let's all laugh at how incompetent we made our main character, guys. Funny, right? Anyway, Maui gets his hook back and Moni faints because he's a fangirl. Maui warns everyone here that if they see a crazy bat lady, they should run right away. This sounds like a very serious warning. The bat lady sounds very evil.
She's the worst. Stay away or you will die.
Maui finds out Moana is in the area, so he gets all scared for her safety, which is when we cut to Moana, who wakes up and is immediately attacked by a bunch of bats. And this is when we're finally introduced to, oh god, how do I say this? Matangi? Matangi. I'm gonna say that. Matangi. Also known as the crazy bat lady. Now listen, this character is very menacing. She's clearly very unhinged. She smiles all weird. She laughs a bunch and she plays these weird mind games with Moana. But then, out of nowhere, and trust me, I wish I was kidding, Matangi mentions how the real bad guy is some god named Nalo, and that she's been trapped here by that god, but isn't actually evil herself. She breaks out into song about how Nalo trapped her for 1,000 years. She's just been waiting and doesn't really do anything bad at all. So the entire movie building up this psychologically tormented villain character has been literally for nothing. And that's my main gripe with this movie, honestly. Many of these scenes are purposely meant to trick you into thinking thinking she's bad, but not by her doing any actual wrongdoing, but by these weird like framing tricks and spooky sound cues. Her and Maui just don't get along that well, which is why they were fighting, I guess. And on top of all of that, when Moana asks her for directions, the crazy bat lady sings about how to find one's way, you first have to get lost, which like doesn't even make any sense. It fits her chaotic nature, sure, but the idea that you're better off just blindly walking around instead of calculating a plan is just wrong. And the worst part is that it can't even do that right, because although the point of this scene is to get lost, Matangi shows Moana exactly where she needs to go, making the entire song completely pointless. It is a bop though, I can't lie. I'll put it in A tier, because I like jazz. Anyway, Maui shows up so him and Moana can finally be reunited. Moana opens this super secret, powerful gate by herself. I don't understand this scene, and I don't care enough to look it up. Very unfortunate. I'm sorry, guys. So now we have Moana and friends plus Maui all together at last. They're all sailing onward to find this god named Nalo, who's apparently stopping all the islands in the area from forming connections by hiding this middle island in a monster storm. Once they stop Nalo, they can stop the storm, and everyone can be friends. Plus, the bat lady will also be freed, since, like, I don't know, she's actually nice, I guess. Listen, I'm not doubting that there's some really cool cultural stories going on here with, like, the history of Polynesian people and all that. But as far as this movie's narrative goes, I'm extremely confused and have, like, no idea what's going on.
We're gonna bring all curse together.
Maui mentions to Moana that coming here was a big mistake since humans are practically useless and will just end up getting killed. Everyone here is just kind of scared, including Hey, who does his iconic scream for a bit. That's another point for the chicken for vocalizing how we all feel watching this movie in this very moment.
Chicken.
That is so incredibly loud. Did they forget to turn the gain down during editing? Why did that bust one of my eardrums just now? The gang is back on the ocean, and Maui makes a joke about cell phones. This is funny, I guess, because cell phones don't exist in this universe yet. Does Maui know the future, or simply just breaking the fourth wall? Who knows? Who cares? But then a monster straight out of Dragon Fable spawns in and attacks the boat. Maui takes it out because he's an actual god. People want to act like some alien robot could beat him in a 1v1. That's crazy. Maui fights off all the other monsters that come out until sunrise, which is when they all give up and run away. It's pretty clear that without Maui, everyone on this boat would probably end up getting pretty hurt, or they'd probably become ex-breathers, if you catch my drift. This is when the gang stops on a small piece of land. Everyone is pretty depressed because they realize how useless they are and that they almost died. Everyone knows they don't have any chance of winning against an actual god. Moana talks to herself for a bit, which if not for the sad music in the background would make this scene extremely creepy. After receiving a purple nurple from his tattoo, I wish I never said that, Maui tries to cheer Moana up with some visual comedy. Look how funny this is. The head of a shark, but the legs of a human? That's not how things are supposed to be. And my suffering. Of course, nothing cheers people up quite like a song, so Maui sings something for the next 3 minutes. Sadly, although this whole sequence is awesome visually, taking a bunch of creative liberties, it also just doesn't sound that good, in my opinion. I'm very close to putting it in D tier, but this might be the only song that actually serves a purpose relating to the characters, so for that alone, I'll put it in C tier. Congrats on being a little more useful than the others. Moana is now completely locked in and ready to fight.
Still not a princess.
Well, a lot of people think you are.
She motivates everyone else, and now everyone is on board. We even find out that Grumps decorated the boat a bit, which is cool enough to get him a point. However, he actually used Hey to etch the decorations into the wood, so I'm gonna have to give the chicken yet another point on the board. Man, this game's not even close. The gang's coming up with a plan to attack Nalo.
I have been working on some ideas. Also, we do have a demigod.
Yeah, we could come up with a complicated plan, or we can use the guy who literally cannot die. That sounds like a good idea. Everyone is actually getting along now. Even Grumps is making friends, which is always surprising.
He's growing on me like a wart.
But then, out of nowhere, this massive storm appears and ambushes Moana's boat. There's massive tornadoes and no signs of safety anywhere. In Texas. Also in this movie, there's massive tornadoes as well. Everyone seems oddly confident here. Maui turns into a bird again and flies towards the storm. While he's doing that, the rest of the people are basically just sailing around, not really doing much. They try to make this look cool, but really these characters are just trying not to die. Despite cutting some of the lightning in half, Maui hasn't been able to do any considerable damage to this storm. The storm even gets bigger over time, so Maui keeps trying, but doesn't really do much, I guess. The boat gang tries to distract the storm because I guess Nalo the god is the storm. Nalo doesn't really have a physical appearance. I guess the storm is what he is. I think. I don't know. I actually have no idea. Does this movie even have a villain? I honestly have no idea. While Moana and friends distract the storm, Maui uses his hook to pull the secret island from underwater back to the surface. However, the storm catches on and shocks Maui with maximum power. Bro got the Wonder Waff from the box. How unfortunate. Damn, her voice actually cracked there. That was the most emotion I've felt like this entire movie. And I cry literally everything, so that's pretty wild. During this lightning attack, Maui is visibly losing all of his tattoos, a process Pete Davidson is all too familiar with. Moana loses her starfish that her sister gave her. Remember that? That's a character that I forgot about. Moana jumps into the ocean as she thinks she can somehow stop the storm this way. Grumps saves Maui. It's a bit random, but it's character growth, so half a point, I guess. Moana, now completely underwater, touches the sunken secret island, which clears the storm for some reason. Then Maui swims in after her, and the two get in some sort of air bubble vortex, like 100 feet underwater. I feel like I'm going crazy. Am I missing a bunch of obvious information? Or is this movie just doing whatever the f it wants at this point? I have no idea what's going on. Maui sings to Moana, and a bunch of ancestors appear, including the OG one from the beginning of the movie. Remember that guy? And I forgot to mention this earlier, but Maui losing his tattoos actually means that he lost his godlike powers, so Maui's basically just a human now. I didn't mention this earlier because in the next scene, he touches his hook again and regains all of his powers like right away. Not even 5 minutes have passed and he's OP again. That's the conflict. Moana also gets some cool tattoos and is now a demigod herself, I think, with her ore becoming her main source of power, like Maui's hook. Moana and Maui lift the island together while Moana sings one of the earlier songs again. It's basically the same song as before. It gets the same score, B tier. With the island now above water, all the islands can now make contact. Not sure why no one can just go around this giant storm. Whatever. And also, I guess Nalo is dead now? Or maybe he's just gone? I don't know. This movie doesn't really have a villain. It's just a bunch of ideas turned into dialogue, to be honest. What happens to this guy? Our gang explores the island, which is when almost immediately new people from new islands show up and Moana becomes the first person to ever make contact. It's actually a very pretty scene. There's lots of saturated colors and nice sparkles. Back home on Moana's island now, everyone returns and Maui even joins them this time. New people are shown new cultures and everyone is very happy. It's just like the real world, right? The final song plays, and much like everything else in this movie, it's pretty alright, although I don't understand any of it. B tier. Moana and friends sail off, and the movie just kind of ends. And that was the entire movie. Moana 2. Was it really that bad? Honestly, I don't even know what I just watched. Full transparency, the first time I watched this movie, I fell asleep like 20 minutes into it, but I don't actually think that's indicative of what this movie is. I wouldn't say this movie is bad. I would, however, say this movie is pretty forgettable. I think most people would agree it in no way matches the intensity, humor, or emotion from the first movie. Moana 1 being a brand new world of excitement and care, while Disney's CEO himself confirmed that Moana 2 was straight up just a cash grab made for profit. Would this story have been a lot better if it was actually a TV show like originally planned? Maybe. Maybe not. I do think that if it was a TV show, people would be a lot less harsh on it than they are now. At the end of the day, I thought this movie was cool, and some aspects of it were interesting. It just feels very confusing at times, and that's honestly the last thing I'd ever like in my animated Disney movies, you know? Like, I want to know what's going on. That's like not why I watch Disney movies. Also, if you're curious, there is a post-credit scene where we actually do see Nalo in human form, turns out. Not sure why he didn't appear at all during the actual movie. That's weird. He handcuffs Matangi and states that the story is just getting started. And who else pops up but the funny crab man from the first movie? All this scene does really is set up Moana 3, which I can only imagine will involve 5 more side characters we've never met before. And hopefully Moana will finally get her other arm tattooed. Either way, I'll be seated because believe it or not, I actually do enjoy watching movies, even if they aren't that good. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Leave a like and comment, it helps out a ton. If you want to support the channel even more, consider becoming a member. It starts at only $1 and gets your name on the screen here at the end of all my videos. There's also some exclusive full movie reaction content coming soon, as well as a super secret Discord server that's about to drop. So if you want to be in those and watch that, become a member now, I guess. Thank you to everyone who's already joined. You guys are the best. Paula Abdul scores this one a solid Moana 2 out of 202. And yeah, thanks for watching.
I don't love anything.
Like a wart. You will die.